Hey everyone, welcome back, and it's finally here, my full season review of The Legend of Korra, Book 2, Spirits. In case you weren't aware, I did episode reviews ever since it started on September 13th of this year on my channel, of all 14 episodes, alright? So I'm finally ready to review the series as a whole. Alright, Book 2 Spirits is the second season of the animated TV series The Legend of Korra by Michael Dante DiMartino and Brian Konietzko. It consists of 14 episodes, also known as chapters. It's a sequel to The Legend of Korra Book 1, Air. And it focuses more on spiritual concepts and themes. Alright, let's see. Now let's talk about the casting real quick. Lisa Edelstein plays Kaya, Tenzin's elder sister, a waterbender and the only daughter of Aang and Katara. John Michael Higgins plays Varric, an eccentric businessman who turns out to be one of the minor villains in the series, and I'll talk about him later. Adrian La Tourelle plays Unalaq, Korra's paternal uncle, and Tonraq's younger brother, or Tonraq is Korra's father, and Senna's brother-in-law, and Senna is Korra's mother. Desna and Eska's father and chief of both water tribes, who serves as the main antagonist of Book 2 along with Vaatu. Aaron Himmelstein plays Desna, Korra's cousin, and Unalaq's, I keep saying Tarlok, Unalaq's son, and Auberry Plaza plays Eska, Desna's fraternal twin sister and Korra's cousin, and Unalaq's daughter. And that it's actually kind of funny. She's actually part of a humorous romantic relationship with Bolin. It's actually really funny. It gets disturbing at some points too, but it's actually really funny, I think, in the long run. And James Remar plays Tonraq, Korra's father. And then Remar. Okay. And Welcome to Republic City, which was the first episode, I guess he was played by Carlos Alazraqui. Wow. And Alex McKenna plays Senna, Korra's mother. And Richard Ray plays Boomy, who's Tenzin's older brother and the eldest son of Aang and Katara. He's a non-bender, as he does not have any bending abilities. So basically, Aang and Katara had 3 children. One was an airbender, that was Tenzin. One was a waterbender, that was Kaya. And one was a non-bender, that was Boomy. So they basically hit the 3 there that they possibly could. Alright. And Stephen Yeun plays Wan, the first Avatar, which is actually really interesting. And April Stewart plays Rava, the spiritual embodiment of good and light, balance and order. And Jonathan Adams plays Vaatu, the spiritual embodiment of evil and darkness, imbalance and chaos. Alright, now, the first thing that you're probably wondering, how do I think Book 2 stacks up against Book 1? Well, I think that they both had an equal start, okay, in terms of quality. I really do. In terms of the actual journey itself, I actually think that Book 1's superior in that regard. Alright, because during the journey of Book 1, Amon was so fucking incredible. And I just did not like Unalaq at all as a villain. Like, at least Amon made you think for the journey that he was going to be a kind of like a Byronic hero, I guess you could say, alright? But Unalaq never felt that way, and kind of came off as a hypocrite in the end, too. I'll talk about that when I actually talk about his character, but, yeah, so in terms of the journey, I think that, you know, in the middle and whatnot, I think that Book 1 was actually superior. However, this Book 2 had a far superior ending to Book 1. But then again, that's not too difficult to do, because Book 1 had a really fucking shitty-ass ending. So let's just say it had its issues, but I did think that the finale was really good. Alright? Like, in and of itself, okay? I mean, in terms of comparing it to Book 1's ending, the ending of this book was fucking godsend. Alright? But in terms of, in and of itself, it was still really good, despite having its issues. Alright? So the plot is fairly simple. It takes place, I think, like a few months, like 4 or 5 months maybe, or something like that, after Book 1, okay? And it basically just continues the story. It continues the story with talking about how every 10,000, in the spirit world, there's a light and a dark spirit. The light spirit is Vatu, and the dark spirit is Rava, I think. Yeah, Rava. Alright, and they fight, and they're always fighting. However, one can win and one can lose, but they can't kill each other because the story was obviously light and dark cannot exist without each other. So they can't destroy each other, but one can still win and one can still lose. The last time that they battled was actually 10,000 years ago when Wan, the first avatar, was traveling around the world for peace, basically. Alright. And they've been sealed away for 10,000 years. However, Unalaq, the main villain of this book, basically wants to release Vatu, which he does succeed with, by the way, and then release him into the world. Okay? Or not really release him into the world, I guess, but he ended up fusing with him, so that he was incredibly fucking powerful for the final fight of the book. All right, and Korra has to act as the bridge between the mortal world and the spirit world, and help Rava seal away Vatu once again. And she succeeds, as well as succeeds with either sealing away or destroying Unalaq. I'm not exactly too sure which one she did there. Alright. And, yeah, that's basically the gist of the plot. And I thought it was done really well. Alright. I mean, it was interesting. However, I didn't like Unalaq very much as a main villain. He was just way too fucking generic for my taste. Alright. Like I said before, at least Amon, made it seem like he was going to be more than just a generic villain at first. With Unalaq, I never got that. I could even tell before he betrayed everyone that he was going to betray everyone, which is not good. Okay? So in terms of creating a new main villain, it just didn't work out too well. Okay? I don't think. I mean, he was interesting to watch sometimes, but ultimately, I just think it was pretty well a flop. Okay? That's not to say the book was bad, because I really enjoyed this. Overall, I think it's definitely superior to Book 1, okay? We had other characters, Tenzin, of course, makes his return. And he's a likable character in this book, just the same as he was in Book 1. Alright. And his oldest daughter, Genova, something like that, she actually has a bigger part near the end of the series in helping Korra not only enter the spirit world and look for Rava and Vatu and Unalaq and whatnot, and help out the spirits, but also helps Genova's spirit helps Korra defeat Vatu and Unalaq in the final episode. So that's one of my favorite parts about Book 2, is that she actually got a bigger role in it. Alright. So there's that. There's also, two new characters. There's Kaya, who's a waterbender taking after her mother, Katara, and she's a pretty likable character. And then there's Boomy as well, who is a non-bender, doesn't really take after either of his parents in that way. But he's still a fairly likable character, too. I found that in this season there are very few characters that aren't likable, which is a good thing. There are some, Uno Akusha in the hell wasn't likable. Right, in terms of Varric, I don't really know how to describe him because, he was kind of like a minor villain, and he ended up getting thrown into prison later on, which, by the way, his prison looks fucking awesome. If that's the way prison is, I think I'll go out and commit a crime right after making this video, just so I can go to fucking prison, okay? Because that looked fucking awesome. Okay, but I didn't really explain his motives for doing what he did, so yeah, I can't really say, he's funny. He's definitely really funny, but there's nothing really more to his character other than that, because, what were his motives? They didn't really say what his motives were for doing what he did, which he stole Asami's shipments from her father's company, which she took control of in this season, by the way. Alright. He got fucking Mako thrown in prison when Mako accused him of doing what he was doing, but no one else believed him. Alright. And it's I don't know. I just couldn't see a motive in what he was doing. So yeah, but other than that though, other reoccurring characters, like I said before, Asami's back. And she's likable. She's basically the same character she was in the last book, but she's still likable. And then there's Mako, who's still a piece of shit. At least at the end of this season, I think it was actually in the last episode, if not the second to last episode, but at least it seems like he and Korra are broken up permanently, hopefully. And who knows, maybe in the next book they'll actually make me like him again. I'm not counting on it, but we'll see. And throughout this entire book, there's still that bullshit love triangle stuff between, Korra, Asami, and Mako. And you want to know something? You want to know why it worked in the original Avatar: The Last Airbender between Aang, Katara, and Zuko? It worked because it gave it time to develop throughout the course of the entire series. Alright? And they did it so well that there was a huge fan base for not only Aang and Katara, which I was a part of, and lucky too, because that's the way it ended up as, obviously, but also there was a huge fan base for Zuko and Katara, because they made it to where both couples were incredibly likable, and I think if I remember correctly, Katara used to date Aang long-ass time ago, too, if I'm not mistaken. Or wait, Katara used to date... Did I say Aang or Zuko? Well, Katara used to date Zuko, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, and by the end of the series, there was a huge fan base for both couples, and, obviously many other people were happy with the way it turned out, but basically there was lots of time to develop both sides. Alright? But here, they weren't developing, either side, really. It's just that you could probably see Mako with Asami more, but they weren't developing either side. However, so Mako is still a piece of shit. Maybe in the next book they'll make him better. I'm not gonna press my luck though, alright? Then they have, Bolin is still here, he's still mainly played off as the comic relief character. Not really much to say about him except, it's nice to have a little bit of comic relief every now and then, and Bolin definitely produces that. He's actually in the first picture movie, or the first moving picture film, I guess, that Varric is creating. He plays the main character, I forget what the character's name is, but whatever. He's still really funny. And then, of course, we have Korra, the main character, and I was actually really surprised with her character. she was turned into a really likable character, I thought. She developed a lot over the course of the series. She was pretty much the same at first. At the beginning of this book, she was pretty much the same as she was in the last book, alright? But over the course of the book, she did develop a lot. And this is definitely partially because of the two-parter, the two-episode plot that dealt with her basically meditating and being able to see Wan, the first Avatar, and his journey to becoming the Avatar and trying to create peace and whatnot, fusing with, God, I keep forgetting the name of the light spirit, fusing with Rava and whatnot, you know, which, by the way, I do think that those are the best two episodes in the book. Like, really, they were awesome, okay? They were amazing, I thought. So yeah, I do think those are the two best episodes in the book. Really, I think they're equal in terms of quality, though. I can't really choose one or the other, honestly, but I do think they were both really fucking good, though, alright? So yes. So Korra is definitely a really likable character in this book. She wasn't so much in the previous ones, or in the previous one, rather, but she is here. And one thing that I think is really interesting is that at the end, when she defeats Vaatu and seals him away, and she defeats, you know, Unalaq and whatnot, she actually doesn't seal the portal. She actually leaves it open for a new age where spirits and humans can live in peace, you know. Humans can go over to spirit world, spirits can go over to the human world, and what have you. Alright. Now, this is an interesting thing, you know, because it opens up whole sorts of new possibilities for the other two books, and possibly any, like, other iterations of a different Avatar that they just do decide to make in the future, if they would, okay? However, like, there are evil spirits, that just don't want that, and there's also, I'm sure, a lot of people that don't want that, and I'm sure that Korra, as well as the police, will try to, but mostly Korra will try to deal with this too, but it's basically a positive and a negative. It's good because it opens up whole sorts of new possibilities, such as maybe the villain of the next book being someone bred from a human and a spirit, if that's even fucking possible. You know, but it's also leaves for worry. But I hope that they find a way to do it well. Alright. So, yeah, and in terms of additional characters, we also have two General Irohs here. 2 times in the series, we get to see the original General Iroh in the spirit world. He basically had the choice to leave his physical body behind and enter the spirit world, so he did. Alright. And we also see the new General Iroh here, who, if I'm not mistaken, is the old General Iroh's, like, great-grandson. Because, if I'm not mistaken, there was the old General Iroh, then he had a son, and then he had a son, and his son was Zuko. And then Zuko had a son, and his son was the new General Iroh, if I'm not mistaken. That's really cool because he's even voiced by the guy that I don't remember what his name is, but he was voiced by the guy that voiced Zuko in the original series. So I thought that was really fucking cool. All right, and we had him briefly, I believe, in the first book as well. You know, but he shows up here a few times too, which is really cool, of course. We also had Lin Beifong, you know, Chief of Police, Earthbender and Metalbender. I didn't think she was as likable as she was in the first book. She definitely changed later on, but when she was first introduced, she turned out to be such a bitch, which is not what I remember her being when she was first introduced in book 1. Also, one more thing, just so you know, when book 3 does come out, I will review it episodically, just like I did this first book. The only reason I didn't with book 1 is because I ended up watching it roughly a year after. Actually, I think it might have been over a year after it finished airing, so I obviously couldn't. But when book 3 comes out, I will review it episodically on this channel, alright? So do stay tuned for that. Anyways, now, Overall, I hope you enjoyed this review, guys. See you after, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.